Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaur Pimanande. Jai Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagasajasto Tarasatya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace. Srila Bhai Charan Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Skandi Biti, Founder Acharyas, Divine Grace of the Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Samabhata Bhakti Vrinda Ki, Harinama Sankirtan Ki, Grantaraj Bhagavatam Ki, Dainitai Gaura Pimanande, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurandilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Syam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Scha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram chaiva narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sridham Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayashabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and a loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Mukam karoti vasanam pangum langayate girim yat kripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yat kripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our morning Bhagavatam recital. Adding color. Yeah, I won't put my neck out there. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Special welcome to our devotees from Hyderabad, coming all the way from Hyderabad to attend morning Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna. We are reading from the 19th chapter of the first canto, which is entitled The Appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. We're nearing the end of that chapter. That means we're nearing the end of the first canto as well. And today we're looking at text number 379. Yes. 37, which is on the board. Ataha Prichyami Samsiddhim Yoginam Paramam Gurum Purushasyeha Yat Karyam Mriyamanasya Sarvatha Ata Prishami Samsiddhim Yoginam Paramam Gurum Purushasyeha Yat Karyam Mriyamanasya Sarvatha Atha Prishami Samsiddhim Yoginam Paramam Gurum Purushasyeha Yat Karyam Mriyamanasya Sarvatha Atha Prishami Samsiddhim Yoginam Paramam Gurum Purushasyeha Yat Karyam Mriyamanasya Sarvatha
Atah pritchami samsiddhim
Yoginam Paramam Gurum
purushasyeha yat karyam
Purushasyeha Yat Karyam
kriyamanasya sarvatha
Mriyamanasya Sarvatha
Atah prikshami samsiddhim
Atha Prishami Samsiddhim
Yoginam paramam gurum
Yoginam Paramam Gurum
Purushasyeha yat karyam
Purushasyeha Karyam
Mriyamanasya sarvatha
Mriyamanasya Sarvatha
Atah prikshami samsiddhim
Atha Prishami Samsiddhim
Yoginam paramam gurum
Yoginam Paramam Gurum
Purushasyeha yat karyam
Purushasyeha Yat Karyam
Mriyamanasya sarvata
Mriyamanasya Sarvatha. One more.
Atah prishami samsiddhim
Atha Prishami Samsiddhim
yoginam paramam gurum
Yoginam Paramam Gurum
purushasyeha yat karyam
Purushasyeha Karyam
kriyamanasya sarvatha
Mriyamanasya Ataha. Therefore, Prishami, beg to inquire, Samsiddhim, the way of perfection, Yoginam, of the saints, Paramam, the supreme, Gurum, the spiritual master, Purushasya, of a person, Iha, in this life, yet, whatever, Karyam, duty, Mriyamanasya, of one who is going to die, Sarvatha, in every way. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. This, of course, is Parikshit Maharaj addressing Shukadeva Goswami. Kindly repeat after me. You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Purport. Unless one is perfectly anxious to inquire about the way of perfection, there is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master. A spiritual master is not a kind of decoration for a householder. Generally, a fashionable materialist, generally a fashionable materialist engages a so-called spiritual master without any profit. The pseudo-spiritual master flatters the so-called disciple, and thereby both the master and his ward go to hell without a doubt. Maharaj Parikshit is the right type of disciple because he puts forth questions vital to the interest of all men, particularly for the dying men. The question put forth by Maharaj Parikshit is the basic principle of the complete thesis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now let us see how intelligently the great master replies. Translation again. You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I'm therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Parikshit Maharaj is himself a great personality, great saintly person. Great personality means actually saintly person. One is not saintly, even though he may be regarded as a great personality by common men. Greatness is, as nicely described here, being anxious, being in anxiety to actually understand what is the goal and what is the purpose of life, and how to prepare oneself for that inevitable moment of leaving one's body. Just as only when one is troubled by some disease, only when one is suffering due to some ailment, one contacts a doctor because one does not, generally, one does not know how to cure one's, or to stop one's suffering. And every living entity in the material world is actually forced to suffer. We are forced to suffer in two ways. One is by the influence of the three modes of material nature. No one can escape the influence of either tamagun, rajagun, or even sattvagun, mode of goodness. Because in the material world, even the mode of goodness is contaminated, tends to be contaminated. That is one way we are constantly being influenced by these modes of material nature. That is how the material world is created, prakriti, one of the tattvas, one of the 5 tattvas that is described in the Bhagavad Gita. And the other way in which we are constantly being harassed is what is called the threefold miseries of life. Adhyatmic, Adidaivik, Adivautik. No one also can escape these 3 influences. Miseries caused by the body or by the mind, by disturbed mind. Miseries caused by other living entities, and miseries caused by nature. So every sane person naturally wants to avoid such inconveniences, such suffering. But generally people don't know how to actually put, as Prabhupada would nicely put, how he would nicely explain, how to put a final solution to these problems of life. And by our own self we cannot. This is being mentioned here, this whole lila, that one needs to approach a bona fide spiritual master, not as a social convenience, as very often one will approach. That is generally, there's the nice vivid anecdote of Srila Prabhupada. I'm sure many of you have heard. In India, it's quite common. People, whenever some sadhu comes by, everyone runs towards the sadhu, want to touch the feet of the sadhu, and want blessings, which is actually nice that because we cannot do without blessings. We cannot advance in Krishna consciousness without the blessings. Blessings means the mercy of sadhus, the mercy of the spiritual master. So, but generally most people, they want only something that is related to their material situation. I'm very much in debt, and I'm in so much anxiety. How to resolve, how to clear my debt, or I need to get my daughter married. She's already 24. She's not married. So many, isn't it? Generally, that is a mood and mentality. So one time Prabhupada was traveling in a train with his, naturally Prabhupada would always be traveling with various, mostly sannyasis actually. And he was having one, Prabhupada, when he traveled in the train, the devotees would arrange it like private, what do they call it? Coupe. Yeah, right. It's like you can close it and you have privacy, right? And Prabhupada would be there and maybe one assistant. So, and of course, when there's a sadhu on a train somewhere, news gets around, especially whenever Prabhupada would go to the train station, the devotees would go with kirtan, and so many people would come to know someone special is boarding the train. So after some time, when the train had, started, there were 2 Indian gentlemen who knew that, there's one sadhu is there. So devotees were actually, they knew also, they always wanted to not avoid disturbing Srila Prabhupada. But somehow these two persons actually slipped in. And naturally they offered their obeisances. And with all due respect, Prabhupada always a gentleman, returning back also his acknowledgement. And then, and Prabhupada said, yes. It's like, how can I help you, or what do you want? And then the first one started to say, Swamiji, I very much need your blessings. I'm starting a new business, and I spent a lot of money and like that. And the other one also gave some kind of, Prabhupada was hearing their plea for blessings, which is not at all uncommon. So after hearing them, a few of his disciples, sannyasis, were there. So they were waiting for some words of wisdom, which Prabhupada, of course, gave words of wisdom, blessings. And so he told them, actually, my blessings, the blessings I can give you is that you see these devotees dressed in saffron. They don't come from India, they come from outside of India, but they have taken up to the Vedic culture. So I bless that you also become like them. They ran out of the compartment. They were not ready to take sannyas. Actually, sannyas is, the essence of sannyas actually is to become detached. And therefore in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about the, one verse is there regarding sannyas yoga. Sannyas yoga. This detachment, vairagya, is not only for sannyasis, not only for brahmacharis, not only for those in vanaprastha or retired life. Vairagya is actually for everyone, including householders. Householders actually have to prepare themselves to give up family life. Different than the, modern understanding that now we are entering, well, nowadays it's not even practice, but generally the understanding is that now we are married and we are eternally together in, this relationship. Vedic culture teaches us differently that all of us, we come together for a very short time. The nice example is given just like in the rainy season when so much of water is there and then streams are going here and there and rivers are full of water, and then so many different debris, pieces of wood and whatnot, they're floating, and some pieces of wood, they come together, then they separate. So life is like that actually. We're born in a particular family, we have a particular mother and father, but that's only for a very short time. We fail to realize that this is not our first birth. We are constantly going through this cycle of samskara, what is called repeated birth and death. As long as we remain in that false material conception that I'm this body and that this body is meant to be happy. Of course, we are meant to be happy. We are searching for happiness because that is, as Prabhupada would nicely describe, that is the birthright. It is the birthright of all living entities actually to be happy. That's why we make so many efforts to avoid suffering. but we fail to understand that actually the amount of happiness that we will get in this life is already predestined due to our previous activities. Everyone is planning how to be happy. No one is planning how to suffer, but suffering comes. Anyways, is it? No one plans to be unhappy. Nobody plans to suffer. So the sadhus, Shastra tell us, in the same way that we don't plan for suffering, why bother planning for happiness? It's going to come also. A very fundamental and very important lesson that even we as devotees, we tend to forget, isn't it? Why bother about making comfortable situation? Why bother about so-called material happiness? It's already destined. It is predestined based on the laws of nature. Therefore, intelligent person understanding that I have to live out this life with a combination of good and bad, happiness and distress, honor and dishonor. It's all nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita. My main business, my main purpose is to how to put an end to this duality of so-called temporary happiness, temporary distress, how to actually attain what all of us are actually seeking is permanent happiness, unending happiness, because that is our nature. Krishna, he is described as Sachit Ananda Vigraha. Isvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha. He is eternally Sat, eternally full of knowledge and eternally full of transcendental happiness. So we should, this is the message that is being conveyed here, we should seek out such a sadhu, such a saintly person who is actually fixed on developing that consciousness, who is actually fixed on preparing himself, as was nicely mentioned in just a few verses before this one, in preparing to go back home, back to Godhead, knowing that this temporary material world is temporary. It is not a permanent place. And therefore, the most important realization one should have is how to constantly have this association with saintly persons, how to live actually in the company of saintly persons, in the company of devotees. And Prabhupada is nicely mentioning here, referring to this exchange, especially what will be conveyed by Shukadeva Goswami, will be making up the thesis of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is a big thesis. Usually a thesis is like within 500 pages. So this is like a Maha thesis. Srimad Bhagavatam is the most important literature, which is why this particular Leela and pastime is so important. It demonstrates how there needs to be a very sincere person who is inquisitive as to what is the real purpose of life. Atato Parama Jigyasa, now that we have attained this human form of life, that is meant to become, that is meant to be our uh, our primary goal in life, uh, not our secondary goal in life, not just once and occasionally. That's the definition actually given in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam for all of mankind, for everyone. The greatest, the highest activity is to engage in devotional service. Savai pumsam paro dharmo, the param dharma, the highest activity, highest occupation. Jato bhakti radhoksaje ahaitukiya pratihata. Without any material motivation and without cessation. So devotional service is not, as sometimes people take up a part-time job, part-time activity. Maybe every Sunday I'll go to a Sunday feast. I will. I'll get some nice association. We should have a Sunday feast every day by honoring Prasadam, and we should attend Mangal Arti and take darshan of the Lord. By performing those activities, that's especially nicely elaborated in the chapter Divinity and Divine Service. Devotees who distribute books in America under the guidance and leadership of Vaisheshika Prabhu. Last year, he, as part of his campaign, actually to distribute books, he requested the devotees, at least the members of his community, his has a nice a temple in California. He requested them actually to learn all of the slokas of that chapter, Divinity and Divine Service, because there's so many wonderful verses that are. Huh?
Which chapter?
Chapter 2. Yeah, chapter 2 is not having like 60 verses like many. It has maybe 30 or maybe at most 40. Means it's, well, of course 40 is a good number, or even 30 to memorize, but I'll tell you right away. No, less than that actually. It's 33. No, I'm sorry, this is 4. Text number 2, here we go. Divinity and Divine Service. Huh? 34, huh? Yeah. Yes, 34, it says. But all of these verses are super heavy, super loaded. Hare Krishna. And so one of those verses is explaining how Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Gyanam Sayad Ahitukam. That simply by taking up this recommended process of Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, pure devotional service, which is also the same message in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, they complement one another. Then one can develop this Vairagya detachment, this sannyas yoga, isn't it? The spirit of becoming detached from this body, detached from this material world, detached from so many material identifications, material positions, etc. Simply by absorbing ourselves more and more in these activities of devotional service, then this automatically, ahaituki, causeless detachment and causeless jnanam, knowledge, we attain both Jnanam and Vijnanam. So this is about to take place. We've been reading how the whole it's like setting up the scene for this great personality, Shukadeva Goswami, to instruct. Actually, it's very rare. I'm sure all of us have experienced this. Very rare to find people who actually really want to know what is what. People who are actually interested in topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. When we travel, uh, anyone who has traveled, people come, if one travels, maybe especially wearing tilak and in devotee dress, devotee attire, it's very rare to find somebody genuinely approaching and wanting to ask, relevant questions. People will approach, like the two persons who approached Prabhupada on the train, you know. Um, so this is nicely explained here how both these great personalities are the embodiment. They are the embodiment of what is called Sravanam Kirtanam, isn't it? Sravanam, hearing. Parikshit Maharaj is eager to hear. And Shukadeva Goswami, he will be, he's the one who will recite the whole Srimad Bhagavatam to, so like this, actually, there needs to be, in order for good result to come, there needs to be both a qualified a speaker and a qualified hearer. Just like in school or in college or university, you need to have a student who is really interested in the subject matter. But you also need to have someone who can speak nicely on that subject matter without any particular hidden motivation. So Vedic culture is such, Vedic education in particular is such that there's only a pure exchange in terms of wanting to advance in knowledge and wanting to perfect one's life. That is the kind of educational system we need to reintroduce in society, where teachers will choose their students, will only teach to those whom they know are qualified to hear, not because they have paid their fee. So, because there's no fee to be paid, and there's no salary also for the teacher, at least not the conventional salary. There is dakshina, which is also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, that the whole process is not complete and will not be bearing fruit unless the student gives some dakshina to his teacher after receiving this knowledge. So, just to conclude here, Parikshit Maharaj is glorifying Shukadeva Goswami, mentioning how you are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. And therefore, I am begging, this mood and mentality of actually begging. This is showing the mindset. One has to have this mood and mentality of submission. I am begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons and especially for one who is about to die. And for those who may not know, we're all about to die.
Death rate is 100%.
True? That's true. Some comments from our illustrious sadhus.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you very much. I want to ask a question. A question that His Holiness Kavichana Swami Maharaj also asked me one time. So I was telling him that Maharaj, we learn about Ayurveda, cow protection here, and I was giving the list of everything we learned here, and
Okay.
he asked me, "Have you learned also how to make a devotee happy?" So what is the best way to make a devotee happy?
So what did you answer?
I didn't give answer. I was surprised.
Yes.
Yeah, I was surprised when you changed the subject. He was telling another thing.
Well, how to make a devotee happy is how to prepare one how to die. And all of these different things that we teach, let's say in the Varnashram college, are all of the different things that we see within the Varnashram culture, Vedic culture, are meant to actually facilitate and help one to develop that higher consciousness, which automatically will make one happy, isn't it? Yeah. Um, that statement, I mean, Prabhupada in the purport, yeah, 1926, and it's just 1926 just came. Prabhupada is telling in response to Grandfather Bhishmadev beginning to speak on his bed of arrows. Grandfather Bhishmadev was, although in that very difficult condition, his body being pierced with hundreds of arrows, he was chosen to actually speak, and he gives the very first instruction he gives to Yudhishthira Maharaj is regarding Varnashram, the Varnas and Ashrams. And in the purport, Prabhupada writes, the conception of the four castes and four orders of life as planned by the Lord himself, Bhagavad Gita 4.13, is to accelerate transcendental qualities of the individual person. That means to become happy. When we develop transcendental qualities, when we understand ourselves to be an eternal spirit soul, Jiver Swarup Hoy, Krishna Nityadas, eternal servant of Krishna, then that's how we become happy. So, modern way of life is arranged in such a way that people will increase their suffering in the material world. Vedic way of life is arranged in such a way that one will diminish one's suffering and increase one's simultaneously one's spiritual happiness and also material happiness. Material happiness means where one will not, as described in the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, because Lord Ramachandra was ruling based on the principles of Dharma, there was no excessive heat, no excessive cold. The rains would fall only in the evening, not during the day, not during Bhagavatam class. Well, just have a few more minutes. So far, it's been okay, but it's one of those skies that anytime could open. So, in other words, there is importance. There's great importance to living in a particular way, to adopting a particular lifestyle which will favor and help us to actually become happy uh, spiritually and whatnot. So all of these different things that are mentioned in the Shastra are meant to prepare us in different ways. They are supportive of what is meant to be the primary goal and objective. Yeah, yeah. We
Maharaj, why it is so difficult
to be happy.
to take real spiritual life, to put spiritual life priority and of the arrangement secondary? Why it is so difficult?
Why is it so difficult to put spiritual life like first
Yes.
priority?
Okay,
Hey,
be like that.
yeah,
Go-
right,
go
right.
through
Yeah.
spiritual life.
Yes, yeah. Well, they don't know anything about spiritual life. Uh, because Prabhupada says, we are living in the kingdom of Maya. Material world is the kingdom of Maya. She's the boss. And therefore, unless we take certain measures and certain precautions, we will be uh, confronted or affronted. We will be, we will come under her influence very easily if we're not here. It mentions, no, unless that, unless one is perfectly anxious. I mean, unless one is anxious is one thing, but here perfectly anxious. Unless we are, same thing. Satatam kirtayam tumam yatantasya dridhavrataha. With great determination. So determination is there in the nectar of devotion as well, nectar of instruction. One has to be extremely, very, very determined to keep that focus, isn't it? Otherwise, and of course, that means we need to keep the good association of devotees. We need to do all of the different, follow the different recommendations given uh, in the Shastra so that we're protected. When we allow ourselves, when we are a little bit negligent, then the priorities change.
And how the Varnashram duties, following Varnashram duties protects devotee not to fall into the concept of material, prosperity, security,
Yes,
or just happiness.
yes.
Like how the Varnashram system, practicing Saris Varnashram system, protects devotees from that change.
Yes, yes.
Reality.
Well, of all of all the social systems, of all the of all the social arrangements that one can make in the material world, uh, Varnashrama is because of all of the inbuilt practices that are recommended, is the most favorable to help one at least become situated in the mode of goodness and beyond, of course. For example, living with cows, because cows are by nature in the mode of goodness. That's Krishna's wonderful, very, it's like genius actually. We are meant to live with cows. Village life means actually living with cows. Village economy means living with cows and the lamb, isn't it? That is Vrindavan. Vrindavan is showing us when people are uh, engaged in more simple activities that don't require uh, over physical or over mental endeavor. That is not overly taxing physically or mentally or intellectually. That is the meaning of simple living. Simple living automatically, more easily, more quickly brings us to high thinking. So high thinking is, in our context, means Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means high thinking, and how we relate and react in different situations. So the whole Varnashrama system, this is nicely explained actually by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. One will have it easier. Anyways, I was just reading that a few days ago. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I believe in the Sajjana Toshan, he mentions that those who take up the process of Varnashrama, uh, they will find it easier to actually practice their bhakti. Yeah. So the same I was mentioning it in the 9th chapter, Srila Prabhupada commenting on this first instruction given by Grandfather Bhishmadev regarding the importance of Varna and Ashrama, that when we when we adopt this God-given system created by Krishna, a perfect system, then it will accelerate. It is that whole system is meant to accelerate the development of Krishna consciousness. Very important point actually to understand. If we really, I mean, Prabhupada is telling this. This is from the Bhagavatam. Because sometimes people may say, well, Prabhupada might have said that in the conversation, but what is written in the Bhagavatam is especially more powerful, more important for us to hear. So Prabhupada is telling that this whole arrangement that Krishna creates, it's the perfect arrangement, is its primary purpose is to help us develop these natural, eternal, spiritual qualities, isn't it? And it's like, Prabhupada also mentions, when people are overly disturbed materially, as they are today in modern day society, very difficult for them to, their mind is completely in anxiety. So they cannot hear properly. They cannot understand so easily about spiritual subject matters. One needs to be in a, that's why the whole Vedic way of life is to bring one, to a peaceful condition. Mode of goodness. Mode of goodness means evam prasanmanaso, brahma bhuta prasanatma. When the mind, only when the mind is peaceful, we can understand and receive proper instructions and follow what is being advised by saintly persons, by Shastra, etc.
That's when we say that to have the mind peaceful, we need to find a Varna and a Shram.
Yes, yes, and that's why, yes, to live peacefully means to find out about our Varna and Ashram, especially those who are not living in a temple. If somebody is living in a temple, that becomes secondary. Because one is fully engaged in so many different activities, but the vast majority of people, and normally those who live in temples are brahmacharis, isn't it? There might be a few householders, but generally, the vast majority who live in temples are brahmacharis, and the vast
preacher, full-time preacher.
Right, and the vast majority of people who live outside the temple are householders.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. So householders, if they can come, of course, every householder should have a small altar and practice devotional service at home. And they may go, generally, that's the Vedic system. When one lives in a village, there's a main temple in the center of the village, which makes it more easily accessible for everyone to come. But generally, we've become, I would say, what is it? A gâté. C'est quoi en anglais?
Only in French.
Hein?
Only in French.
Only. No, there's a friend. Spoiled. Spoiled. We become spoiled in ISKCON because we have a morning program that begins at 4:30 and ends at 9 o'clock. I mean, most people have to go to work at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, very early.
Or if not earlier, yeah. The whole Sridham. Of course, that's because of the whole, well, of course.
But in the country also.
Yeah, even in.
when you have a cow, how to say?
Yes.
But in the country, their day ends earlier, while in the city
Yeah.
it starts early and ends late.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. I remember visiting.
Finish at
If-
2 o'clock.
Yeah,
After that.
people milk cows in the village at different times. I guess it depends on. It's different factories,
Not
but
after 9 o'clock.
Yes,
Right.
it's always early.
yeah, right. Not definitely not after 9 o'clock.
No, now, just for your information, now it happens even 11 o'clock. This is Kali Yuga. Now.
Yeah. But,
Oh, now.
Yeah, but earlier it was actually before
Before
sunrise,
sunrise.
because it was
Yes.
mentioned that, and there are two reasons, because the cows will go out, you milk them, and they are sent out for grazing.
Right.
So, but now it's all upside down.
It's not cow protection.
Well, yeah,
No.
of course. Yeah.
There is no cow protection going on.
So that's why this has to be. This must become central for all of us. This must become central also for ISKCON as a society. If we want to reestablish the Vedic culture, we must reestablish villages as Vrindavan village was
But
and is meant to be.
How many people are actually understanding that?
We have to, we have to repeat it. We
Yes.
have to repeat it. We have to repeat it.
Yes.
And again and again and again. Yeah. Well, not only repeating it, but we have to provide ways and opportunities for people. That's why Prabhupada wanted that we establish Varnashram College. We have to train our devotees. We have to train ourselves and develop that consciousness. and here especially what Prabhupada has explained again and again, actually in great details, about so many different aspects of the Vedic culture. Somebody shared something very interesting. Well, along the lines that we are discussing, I have only 2 minutes to find this. I think maybe I'll find it. I just found it. And yeah, where is it? Prabhupada was quoting Prabhupada directly. Very nice. Yes. Yes. This is Rameshwar recalls Srila Prabhupada instructing him as follows. Listen carefully. We are the only hope for human society to receive real knowledge. And our books are the only real thing. It may take some time, but one day all this rubbish culture of slaughterhouses and brothels and this rubbish philosophy that God is dead and life comes from matter can be replaced. In the future, there will be a history of how Vedic culture was brought to America. We are introducing a new style of life and civilization. What is that new style of life and civilization? Yeah, it's based on Krishna's lifestyle and civilization, isn't it? Everything should be ideal. Others have never dreamt of such a civilization. Free life, happy life, no anxiety, and hope, great hope that we're going back home, back to Godhead. Dhamashra was, in those early days, very much connected with book distribution, with BBT. All the world, and just to end here, all the world is in darkness. The scientists like Darwin and Freud are all in darkness. One day, the whole world will appreciate how we have changed the face of the world from darkness to light. And a great portion or part of that is going from urban to village.
So just
Confirmed by the TOVP.
just to say that in your experience, when you go and preach to householders, devotees in city who's living in cities,
Yes.
or you go to preach to householders who's living in little villages, it's quite different. The result,
The result?
means in the village, life helps them to really listen you and understand and follow you. Preach. But it's not so easy. It's not so simple.
I don't think it's black and white like that. But what we can say is that those who are living in the village are properly situated, and the majority of those who are living in the urban places are not properly situated, in the sense that it's a difficult situation, but the whole modern society has basically forced all of us, and the whole system is meant to keep us in that kind of tied situation where we are living in very unnatural, impractical way in the cities, and therefore it will take some time, and Krishna has a plan for bringing about the changes that are needed. See, we need to understand, and especially our householders who are in the cities, and we have some nice householders from Hyderabad city, that Prabhupada said, modern civilization is a doomed civilization that is unsustainable, cannot last, and therefore he wanted us to be in the cities, to have temples in the cities, but for preaching this whole understanding that actually a very important part of our preaching in the cities is to prepare devotees not to be in the cities. We're missing that point.
It's not even talked about.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's
Because it is difficult. So,
huh?
because it is difficult in this current scenario, and that's why it is less talked about. Because whatever is difficult, if we talk, then there is a question.
It's explained away when it bring. I know temple presidents when the question about varnashram. Varnashram just means engaging people according to the nature. So here we are engaging people.
We're doing varnashram here.
We are doing varnashram
Yeah.
here. That's the answer.
Right. So there's varnashram and there's varnashram. I remember quite some years back visiting in South America. My first visit to South America. I won't mention the city or the place, but local GBC was there actually, and then I was talking about Varnashram, and then he was saying,
Which
we're
year
doing
was that?
Varnashram.
Which year was that?
Huh?
Which year was that?
Oh, 20 years ago
Okay.
or more. And it's like, that's for most devotees and most temple presidents, that's their understanding of Varnashram. We're doing Varnashram. He's our accountant, he's doing business, whatever, he's washing the floor, he's on the altar, we have pujaris, we have brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas, all here in the temple. So what's the problem? Why are you, yeah. Last comment or question?
Yeah, comment. But I think that some people say that difficult because there's a need of preparation. You cannot just bring your child from the town. He is going to school into the village directly. For example, in Africa, before even read Bhagavad Gita, you have to go to school and learn about French. Learn French at least, or English. It's not the the language used at home.
Ah,
So it's not teach in the most of the time in the village. So there is a need of preparation to prepare devotees who know this French speaking and English come to village, and then they can teach our children in the village. So in our place, there is just a need of preparation. So I think
so practically speaking, in your place in Africa, people have to go to the city.
yes, yeah.
To
For
learn,
the
to learn
moment,
to
yeah.
read, no.
To meet
Yes, sir.
devotees.
No, in 2 centuries back, everyone in village could learn reading.
Yeah,
If they want, they can learn. From one teacher can teach everyone in the
yeah.
village.
That system was degraded. So you have to rebuild.
Yeah,
system.
that's have to bring teachers to them to read.
Living
learn.
simple is complex.
Yeah.
This devotees who are living in Varnashram society trying to establish that because it's not already there.
Yeah.
To get
So many-
once you get there, it's easy.
Right.
But from where we are to get there is complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, very complex.
Yes. Anyways, I hope no one minds that we speak somewhat often about Varnashram here. It comes up actually practically all the time, which is there also in the pages of the Bhagavatam. Okay.
Today we are going to share what time? 10:30 about the land and cow.
Oh, okay. Today, yes. Dal Mukundapu is giving two classes today.
No, we'll have here. Then we will have practical.
What's the title of your course or class?
The real prosperity from
Real Prosperity Farms.
cows, land.
Yes. Last year we had a nice title. Remember your title last year?
Yeah.
Our culture, agriculture.
That
Our
is our
culture.
slogan.
Huh?
That is our slogan.
Yeah, right. Our culture, agriculture. Jai Grantaraj Bhagavatam ki, Jai Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Jai Samasta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Jai.